All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is June 15th, Sunday, 2025, and we got a whole nother list of things going on, and it's not looking like any of this is going away anytime soon, which is why this is called Weeks, Not Days, More War. It's coming. So we're going to take you all through it. I'm not going to get real long-winded on this, but this is not de-escalating by any stretch of the imagination. It's just going and going and going, and both sides believe they're in an existential fight, and because of that, they're going to fight like it means their life. So, a lot of more strikes going on both sides. The Iranians are getting a little bit better at doing damage to the Israelis. The Israelis are doing some new tactics. They used a bunch of car bombs to supposedly take out scientists for nuclear, nuclear scientists and stuff like that. They're asked if to see what A.M. Ryan has said. They're asking if America will be joining in. Currently, they're saying no, we are not. But I think we all know that if this keeps going the way it is, there's a very good chance that we will join in, which nobody wants. And it is Father's Day. Thank you, AC, for reminding me that. I just got off the horn with my wife and child who are far away playing sports ball, wishing me a happy Father's Day. So a happy Father's Day to you all. Okay. And we're going to be taking it here. We made it through the wonderful, wonderful yesterday, which was the 250th anniversary, the birthday of Trump, and also Flag Day, not in all that order. And of course, it was the No Kings protests, if you want to call them that. They're more like riots in many cities, all going on all over America. And of course, there was also, to talk to the person who asked me about it, the two Minnesota legislatures who were taken out by a former associate of Mr. Waltz, the Minnesota governor. Basically, from what I have read, is that the guy is a violent leftist, and he was unhappy with both lawmakers who were Democrats and blocked a bill in Minnesota to give free health care for new neighbors. And so because of that, he showed up at their door in a fake police outfit with fake sirens going off in the back and a mask on his face. And he basically shot them point blank. And I don't see why you would think anything different of what a violent leftist does. I knew immediately. I said it last night. I stopped myself. I was like, well, let's just make sure. I knew immediately it was left on left violence. It is what it is. Their mentality is not one of like health or normalcy. They're off. There's a mental illness to what they do and what they believe. And because of that, they will act out accordingly or unaccordingly, whatever. So be careful out there. These people are all over. They are not right in the head. I cannot put it any other way. I am a former Democrat. About 15 years ago, I think 2010 is when I kind of left the party because I started to mature and wake up and say, ooh, this isn't all what it seems. And my youthfulness kind of went away and the manhood took in, and I started to think about things and just, I got to be honest with you guys. There's a sociopathy that is really intertwined in the modern leftist mentality and thought process. It is not normal. So, and there's a bunch of people because they get this crap fed into their brains every day that are out there that are just really not right in the head, and you need to be careful. There is nothing correct. There's no issue in the world that you have to act violently to achieve. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? Now you have a right to defend yourself. So maybe achieving the protection of your life. But other than that, anything you can do. The guy that came on one of my live streams yesterday, was saying, oh, well, voting doesn't work. Well, you know what? People on the conservative side thought that 2 years ago, and here we are. Violence does not work. Organization, telling people about what's going on and getting people to go out and to try to fix it in a mature and calm and peaceful way is the best way to do it. Now, I'm sure a lot of the people that were doing the protests yesterday thought they were doing it in that style. But the fact is, there's a lot of mentally ill, violent portions of that movement, and they will co-opt it, and they will do everything they can to push their agenda. So it is what it is. Hopefully that's a large enough of a good response to my thoughts on Mr. Belter. I believe his name is Vance Belter, who went and did violent things because, again, he's a violent leftist. So, all right. On that note, thanks for being here. I'd like to thank all of the members. The DSM does need to be updated, Rhonda Brown. I completely agree. It's literally mentally illness. If you can't, there's nothing about going and being violent or physical that is not in a mentally ill way. I'm 51 years old, and I've been in 2 altercations, and I was about 13 years old when both of them happened. You know why? Because I matured into a man, and I figured out that kind of a modus operandi doesn't work. And I will get much more into an intellectual conversation where I try to bring the person to my side, or at least have a good conversation and argument to what I want. That will go a lot longer than going and being a violent POS child like these Antifa fuckers. So they're going to keep going, and you know what? You need to stay away from them because they're not right in the head. All right, let's get started. You got me to cuss. I was doing so well. I was like, man, I've been so good for so long. I haven't cussed. I don't know. Maybe it's Father's Day. Anyway, happy Father's Day. Here's your crisis report AM for June 15th. Oh, by the way, is that a secret channel? Well, yes, we'll be starting to post there again here pretty soon, probably the next day or so. I just got to get things going. But yeah, that is where everything goes. If anything ever happens here, and if you're familiar with the way Borg and his friends do things, you never know. You might wake up one day and your channel's gone. So we have a backup that is not affiliated with this in any way, shape, or form. I have a burner phone for it, and that's where things go if this ever goes away, just so you know. All right, new mayor of Bat Yam, Israel. 61 buildings across the city were damaged in last night's Iranian attack. Very major hit and destruction done. The Iranians definitely popped off some stuff. Israeli government has now approved the use of the biometric database by police to identify the dead following Iran's retaliatory strikes. There's another little NWO action going on right there. Germany, Iran missed the chance for constructive dialogue. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi, the Israeli attack could not have taken place without Washington's support. We have documentation of support from U.S. forces in the region. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi says we do not seek to expand the scope of the war in the region unless we are forced to. IDF has issued an evacuation order for all Iranians near weapons production facility, urging them to remain at distance until further notice. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi says we expect Washington to demonstrate its good faith and condemn Israel's attacks on our peaceful nuclear facilities. Trump says the U.S. had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. If we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. He is definitely trying to get them to the table, but right now, nothing's happening. And again, I think both sides just think it's pointless. I think the Israelis smell blood. I think there's been pressure from political parties that are monarchist and communist and kind of more affiliated with the Shah from 46 years ago than the current theocracy Ayatollah or Ali Khamenei group of political beings. So there's a lot of political pressure now starting to be happening. Israeli home front commander, we have a difficult days ahead. Israel, 13 killed in Iranian attack since Friday. That number will go up. Iranian Foreign Minister Arakchi, Iran will stop attacks on Israel if it stops aggression against the Islamic Republic. Security estimates indicate that Iran has fired approximately 80 missiles at Israel since last night in the two batches. Security assistant of the governor of Isfahan, an Israeli attack targeted a defense ministry headquarters in the province. Israeli Defense Minister Katz says the Iranian dictator is turning Tehran into Beirut and the residents of Tehran into hostages for the survival of the regime. Our Israeli Education Minister Yoav Kish says Iran's oil and gas fields must be set ablaze. Iranian ballistic missiles appeared to have hit at very close proximity of an Israeli air defense launcher in Haifa last night. Israeli Bazan Petroleum Company says Iranian bombing last night damaged oil refinery and its extensions in Haifa Bay. Haifa was hit hard. Israeli airstrike destroyed Iranian drone factory in Isfahan. Iran's police spokesperson says two members of Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad, were arrested in Al-Borz province. A lot of Mossad activity on the ground in Tehran and around there. Israel is preparing to launch intensive attacks on Iran today, source channel 14. Shadah's electronics industry, which produces nearly all radar systems in Iran, was destroyed by Israel. IRGC says Hajizadeh was killed, along with commanders Mahmoud Bagheri, Davoud Shakian, Mohammed Bagher Tahrirpour, Mansour Safarpour, Masoud Takheb, Khosrow Hassani, and Javad Jarsara, all killed. Mayor Bat Yam in Tel Aviv says 6 dead, 200 injured Iranian attacks. Israeli Minister of Energy Eli Cohen says for every building that falls in Israel, 100 buildings will fall in Iran. U.S. envoy Wyckoff held direct talks with Iran's foreign minister last night. U.S. envoy also met Omanis last week to explore a new proposal framework. Netanyahu emerges from his hiding hole, visits Bat Yam attack site. French Foreign Minister Barrot, Iran nuclear program is a threat to the security of Europe and of Israel. Starting tonight, metro stations in Tehran will be 24 hours a day open to shelters. That is a bad sign. That means that they're expecting things to really escalate, okay? Israeli military official says Israel has a large list of targets in Iran still to hit. Israeli military official declines to say how long the airstrikes against Iran will continue. Successive explosions were heard in western Tehran, according to Al Jazeera. Russia damages Boeing facility in Kiev. Yes, there is another war going on in the eastern portion of Europe. A Russian airstrike severely damaged a building used by Boeing in Kiev in what appears to be a deliberate attack on the U.S. aerospace company, according to Ukrainian officials and Boeing employees. Strike occurred during one of Russia's largest aerial assaults of the war, which involved over 300 drones, multiple missile targeting cities across Ukraine. Boeing, which employs over 1,000 people in Ukraine, recently explored joint defense projects with Ukrainian partners, including unmanned systems and ammunition production. IDF is now attacking areas east of Tehran. The IDF, over 3 days, Israeli attacks more than 720 military targets in Iran. That is immense. And they say they're not done. IDF, Iranian attacks continue. There may be additional casualties in the coming days. Senior Israeli official to Al Arabiya, if Israel does not destroy the Fordo nuclear reactor in Iran, the whole operation will be futile. And from what I understand, the only way to properly do that is for a U.S. bunker buster to be dropped from a U.S. plane, which would mean direct involvement. And from there, we don't know what happens. Reports indicate Israeli strikes hit 3 airports in the past hour: Mehrabad in Tehran, Karaj Airport west of the capital, and Imam Khomeini International Airport. Pakistan condemns Israeli strikes on Iran, backs Tehran's right to self-defense. Pakistan Senate and National Assembly unanimously passed resolutions condemning Israel's attack on Iran as a violation of international law and the UN Charter. Motions tabled by Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar and Minister Syed Naveed Kamar labeled the strike a war crime and threat to regional and global peace. Pakistan declared full solidarity with brotherly Iran and supported its right to self-defense under Article 51 UN Charter. It's almost like the kickball teams for World War III are getting sorted out. German Chancellor merits Iran must never have nuclear weapons. Netanyahu at Bat Yam says Iran will pay a heavy price for deliberately killing civilians, women, and children. And Israeli Ministry of Welfare says 742 people were left homeless from the Iranian attacks. U.S. State Department says we have authorized the voluntary departure of family members and some government employees from our diplomatic mission in Israel. Iranian President Pezeshkian asks Iraq to better protect its aerospace to prevent Israel from using it to attack Iran. Now, Iraq is starting to kind of question things. Iraqi Prime Minister al-Sudani has announced Iraq's readiness to help Iran cope with consequences of Israeli strikes. Israelis are fleeing Tel Aviv beaches en masse after Israeli warnings to stay close to bomb shelters. 50 Iranian ballistic missiles were fired on Israel. Smoke has been rising over the Iranian Navy headquarters area in Tehran. And no impacts have been recorded yet in Israel following the launch of Iranian ballistic missiles. That was at about 10 a.m. It's very possible that more are going on right now because they're basically ongoing at all times at this point. This is a full-on war. In Iran, all educational institutions will remain closed until further notice, according to Anadolu. Ministry of Justice, building hit by Israeli airstrikes. Trump says Iran and Israel should make a deal and will make a deal just like I got India and Pakistan to make one. Reports now claim saboteurs destroyed one of Tehran's pipelines. Streets are flooded. And there's some kind of a water main break, major floods going on in the streets of Tehran. Israeli official to Channel 14, the nuclear weapon is not the only thing that will not be in Iran when we are finished. Obviously, a veiled threat against Khomeini. IDF in the last hour, several missiles were launched at the state of Israel from Iran. Most of them were intercepted. No reports of any landings on Israel territory were received. At least 14 Iranian nuclear scientists were killed in Israeli attacks, including car bombs. Now, 9 were supposedly killed the days before, but the 5 today, there were 5 car bombs that went off from the last I checked, and they say that all 5 of those hit Iranian scientists in the nuclear program. Israel's ambassador to Washington says we have set back the Iranian nuclear program significantly, but it's not enough. Trump to ABC on Israel-Iran conflict says we're not involved in it. It's possible we could get involved, but we are not at this moment involved. Trump to ABC on Putin mediating between Israel and Iran says he is ready. He called me about it. We had a long talk about it. We talked about this more than his situation. This is something I believe is going to be resolved. Trump to ABC on Israeli attacks on Iran. He said something like this has to happen. We may have forced a deal to go quicker. U.S. forces based in SDF-controlled areas of Syria are actively assisting in tracking and intercepting Iranian projectiles aimed at Israel. 5 car bombs and IEDs went off in Tehran, Iran. They're most likely Israeli. That is the scientist attack. Israel estimates that Ayatollah Khomeini has made the decision Iran will go to war. So that is from Middle East Spectator. He is a very big channel with a lot of clout and a lot of knowledge on their side. That he is of the Iranian side of things. And if he's saying it, it is more than likely a very big possibility. Now, my subscribers on the membership, like Sally Sock Puppet and Medi, they got a notification about 3-4 hours ago about that on the post. So basically, by being a member like they are, not only do you help the channel, you get a little bit of information that's critical out there because this is a full-on war, and I think it's going to escalate. Israel extends a nationwide state of emergency until June 30th. Not a good sign. Hebrew media reports that the latest attack from Iran targeted Netanyahu's residence in Caesarea and a power station in Hadera. Now they're going after Netanyahu. Not a good sign. Damage from Iranian attacks during last night amounts to 1 billion shekels or $277 million US. Israeli government expects 12,000 compensation claims for the attacks in just these 2 nights. Scientists detect strange radio signals emerging from beneath Antarctica. I'm personally thinking that it's the kaiju. I mean, we've already got all this other crap going on. What better time to have a bunch of kaiju erupt from the Antarctic frozen tundra to come up and start laying waste to our major cities on the coast? Rioters have breached the ICE building in Portland, Oregon. Reports indicating that several federal law enforcement officers have been injured. Why? Because they're violent. Visible heavy traffic in Tehran. People are evacuating the city. Some people were trying to say that it was like just normal rush hour, but most people are saying it is actually people saying we need a GTFO. Iraqi defense minister deploying Panzer air defense batteries in sensitive areas to protect Iraqi sovereignty. So now you can see maybe the Iraqis going and trying to take out some of these missiles that are floating overhead. According to Reuters, car bombs in Tehran are part of a Mossad operation to eliminate Iranian nuclear scientists. In total, 14 scientists so far have been killed. Names of 9 of the scientists were published by the IDF yesterday, which means that another 5 were killed across the Iranian capital today. U.S. Army swears in senior tech leaders from Meta, Palantir, OpenAI as lieutenant colonels to be part-time advisors. This was taken off of Ice Age Farmer, who was saying and swearing he is not AI-generated redo of himself, and he will start to post videos again. We look forward to that. He is by far and away one of the best channels I have ever seen, and someone that you should follow. He is on Telegram. If you're on my Telegram, I've been sharing a lot of his stuff as of late, so you can get to him through me, or you can try to find him out there. His name is Christian. It is Ice Age Farmer. Excellent stuff. Putin, after his phone call with Trump, conveyed a warning to Khamenei that the Iranian regime is in danger. Tehran's Mashhad airport is burning. Mashhad is the second holiest city on the planet. It is basically a major cultural hub, and it got majorly attacked today by the Israelis. And it is in the northeast of Iran, which is really far away, and showing that basically Israel is now starting to expand their operations. Panic in the Iranian capital. Stores are being empty in Tehran. And folks, that is why you are a prepper. You're not going into stores hoping to God you get out with something. You've already got it, and you bought it at a normal price. Picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah, lots of scenes, lots of videos, lots of images of people freaking out and going in and trying to get some kind of a war chest before the full war gets going. Iran, Israeli army claimed to have targeted a refueling plane at Mashhad Airport, 2,300 kilometers from the borders of occupied territories. Israeli army spokesperson says, we hit an Iranian army tanker plane in Mashhad, Iran. We hit the plane from a distance of 2,300 kilometers. This is our longest range attack since the beginning of the operation. Pakistan, China, and Russia are assisting Iran in transporting air shipments that include missiles, Channel 14 citing Israeli officials. So clearly Israel needs to start striking China to get them into this and get us into it too. A lot of reports now that Pakistan, China, and Russia are on the low trying to help Iran. And there's actually some planes of major heavy equipment and stuff, rockets supposedly, from China that were flying into Iran and were turning off their transponders. Mossad begins using terrorist tactics across Tehran. 5 car bombs detonated. Shahed drones hitting Tel Aviv. Communist Party of Iran, CPI, calls for a national uprising against the Islamic Republic authorities while condemning Israeli airstrikes, saying that it is a war between 2 religious fascist states, saying that the Iranian regime lies about the intentions regarding Palestine while oppressing Iranians working at home. Statement of the Communist Party of Iran, war against the people of Iran and Israel, no war, no hope in the world powers. The path of liberation lies in protest, consciousness, and mass action. And if you're in America, that means you go violent. It's a very long post. I'm not going to read all of what they say, but this, of course, is on my Substack, www. I always do that. It is https://preppernow.substack.com. Almost to 500 subscribers is where we get all this stuff. It is also where you can find the links in these long posts, and you can go, should the link be there provided, and follow the rabbit hole where you need to be. You can get this for free, or you can be like 15 people and feel that this is worth some of your money and time to aid in the production of what we do here at Prepper Now and the Crisis Report. Report in Iran International, Mohammad Kazemi, head of intelligence of the Revolutionary Guards, and his deputy were trapped under the rubble of building attacked by Israel in Tehran. Their condition is currently unknown. Iranian Health Ministry reported that at least 128 people were killed in Israeli strikes and about 900 people were injured. Trump is still trying to prevent an escalation of the war and resume talks on the nuclear deal, according to Axios. And an official of Israel to Axios says Israel is currently not interested in a ceasefire because it still hasn't implemented all its objectives. And to be honest with you folks, I think they smell blood. I think they think that they're going to be able to take out Khomeini and do a regime change because what they're doing in their minds is going so well. The problem is the Iranians, I think what they're doing, this is my personal opinion, this is just a little bit of analysis and from places I've read. I think the first couple of salvos, what they're sending is more of stuff to kind of use up the Israeli air defense systems. And now they're starting to chuck a few of their hypersonics. And I saw videos of it. Man, there is a huge difference between a Shahed drone, a ballistic missile, and one of the hypersonic missiles. Those things come in so fast you can barely see it. It is absolutely impressive and showing that Iran has this technology now via the Chinese and Russians. And I think they're going to start to use it more and more. And that's why the first day there wasn't much destruction. They used up a lot of the air defense systems. Now Iran is saying, okay, you guys keep going. We're going to start chucking in these hypersonics. And they're doing a lot more damage to places like Haifa and Tel Aviv. Israeli official to Axios, Israel currently isn't interested in a ceasefire because it does implemented all of its objectives. Iranian Boeing 747 tanker plane that the IDF destroyed in Mashhad, of which only 2 exist in the world. Federal and local police deployed tear gas, crowd control munitions on Antifa and anti-ICE rioters outside ICE Seattle field office in Tukwila. Mayor of Tel Aviv, 61 buildings were damaged as a result of the Iranian attack. 6 of the buildings will have to be demolished completely. 18 Israelis are still missing at the site of the collapsed building destroyed by Iranian missiles in Bat Yam, Tel Aviv. Chinese aircraft have been tracked flying over Turkmenistan, approaching Iranian airspace before turning off their transponders, presumably delivering military hardware to Iran. Israel's operation against Iran is expected to take weeks, not days, and is moving forward with implicit U.S. approval, according to White House and Israeli officials and CNN. Not good. Russian embassy in Iran announces plans to evacuate Russian civilians from the country, and Iranian air defense units are now active over the skies of the city of Mashhad after recent Israeli airstrikes on a tanker plane in the airport. This indicates more hostile ops are coming. Let us go to the real-time info and see if there are more stuff going. And I'm sure there is. Yep, here we go. So, head of the Revolutionary Guard intelligence deputy trapped in rubble building that was attacked. Situation unknown. Netanyahu says Tehran is burning. We are determined to complete the mission. Netanyahu on a hostage deal says, I gave instructions to advance the talks. I recognize a loophole. Turkish President Erdogan and Trump discussed Israeli-Iran conflict, bilateral ties, and regional issues over the phone, according to Anadolu. Netanyahu says that a regime change in Iran is possible as a result of the Israeli strikes targeting the country's leadership. Our intelligence shows that Iran wanted to transfer a nuclear weapon to the Houthis, according to Netanyahu. Now he's Okay, no comment. I don't know about that, but maybe, maybe. Netanyahu, we have now killed the head of the intelligence of the Revolutionary Guard and his deputy in Tehran. Netanyahu, Iranian regime is very weak right now. See, they see blood. Turkish President Erdogan told Trump that Turkey is ready to facilitate diplomacy to resolve the nuclear dispute. Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to take out Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei in recent days, according to Reuters. Netanyahu says, I think Iran is completely surprised by our attack, and surprise is a great element of success. Netanyahu says, we destroyed the Isfahan reactor, and without it, it is impossible to develop a nuclear weapon. That is a big claim, and I don't know if it's true. We destroyed the main nuclear facility at Natanz and will do more if necessary, according to Netanyahu. Nuclear negotiations are worthwhile if Iran gives up the uranium enrichment capabilities. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi says we are conducting a well-planned defensive operation aimed at protecting our sovereignty and territorial integrity. Iran's health ministry says 128 people killed, 900 injured in Israeli attacks. Israeli National Security Advisor says Reuters report that the U.S. vetoed Khamenei's assassination is fake news. Typical. U.S. Embassy in Baghdad increased likelihood of attacks by foreign terrorist organizations against U.S. companies and places frequented by Americans. Yep. Air Force began a wave of attacks on dozens of surface-to-surface missile targets in western Iran, according to the IDF. Over the weekend, Israel had an operational window to take out Supreme Leader Khamenei, but Trump made it clear that he is against such a move. That is according to Axios, but the Israelis are saying that's a bunch of crap. Excuse me. Israeli army is preparing for additional Iranian attacks tonight. The exact moment of Israeli airstrikes in Tehran, more footage of that. Iran's ballistic missile could reach the United States if they were slightly upgraded. Okay, now you're just begging, bro. Ballistic missile launcher reportedly belonging to the RGC appears abandoned in western Iran. This could be a decoy as well. There have been a lot of confirmation that Iran has a lot of decoys out there. So they're coming out saying, hey, we struck all this stuff. But when you look at it and the afterglow of, these strikes on them, there wasn't really much in there. And there obviously wasn't any kind of rocket in there. And it just kind of was a shelled out, nothing. So pretty much confirmed at this point that Iran has a lot of duds, fakes, decoys out there for the Israelis to strike. At least 2 explosions have rocked the Iranian city of Mashhad, one of them at the airport. Fire broke out at several floors of a skyscraper in Tel Aviv, hit by an Iranian missile. Let's see. Israeli Air Force has begun a wave of strikes against dozens of surface-to-surface missile targets in Iran. Netanyahu said we would just destroy the Isfahan reactor without the development of a nuclear weapon is impossible. Lots of exodus of people from Tehran continuing into late afternoon after today's Israeli wave of airstrikes and covered ops in the city. If you are in either of those towns, I would GTFO immediately. Israeli strikes on Iran could lead to a change of power in the Republic, Netanyahu told Fox News. He claims that 80% of the Iranian population would like to overthrow Khomeini. So whether that is true or not, we don't know. Let's go to a more pro-Iranian thing. See what they've got. Channel 12 Reuters report that Trump vetoed the Khomeini thing is false. That I don't believe that. I don't think that Trump weighed in on it. If they're going to go after, they're going to go after. They're not going to be like, what do you think? Should we do it? I don't know. They're not going to do that. They're going to do whatever they want. Rocket fell in an open area near Gaza. Netanyahu told Fox News Trump helped achieve surprise against Iran by publicly urging Israel not to attack. We know that happened. Bakr Rabid, Axios reporter from Israel, says a senior American official confirmed to me that over the weekend, Israel had an operational opportunity to eliminate Supreme Leader Trump made it clear that Netanyahu that he opposed. I don't believe that. I don't. I'm sorry. Spokesperson of the IDF says the Israeli Air Force has launched a wave of airstrikes targeting dozens of ballistic missile launchers in Western Iran. You know what that reeks of? That whole like Trump wanted that like is we need to get America involved. And that's a play to the people. So when we do get involved, all the Americans are like, well, you know what? We got to protect. I don't believe that crap for 1 second. That is a play to make the Iranians like get more involved and to escalate this thing. And also, when you really peel back the onion, that tells me that Israel is not doing as well as they think they are. And they really want America to come in and help. That's what I think. Personal opinion. Israeli Air Force launched a wave of airstrikes targeting dozens of ballistic missile launches in western Iran. Netanyahu claimed on Fox News that Iranian missiles could reach the United States. That's a hunk of crap. More footage, heavy traffic in Tehran, and more Israeli airstrikes on Tehran as we speak. That, my friends, is the Crisis Report AM. Weeks, not days, for more war. I'm telling you, this is just getting started. This is just getting started. Please, please, please consider becoming a member here on YouTube, or at the very least, follow on Substack, friends. Okay? It's right there. You go in it, you do it, you get the Substack, you get the intel, you follow the links. That's what all the cool kids are doing. Man, I'd love to have 500 subscribers there. That'd be great. So, all right, friends, I'll get back to putting together more, and we'll have another one tonight. I'll also be doing probably a long form video on Prepper Now. And happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to all the people that are not fathers but are fathers, like my wife and her late father who took care of her. We miss him very, very dearly. He is the reason why she is such a great woman. He was not her father biologically, but he was the man that raised her, and he did a great job. And we remember you on this day, sir. All right, friends, God bless. We will see you on the next one. And, yep. Woo, it's coming. Raise the sub price. Nah, I like to keep it cheap. Sergeant O 700, I like to keep it cheap. $2. $2 is nothing. If I get enough people to come here for $2, it is what it is. So, and I've got another one where you can spend like 20 if you really like what we're doing. But it's all, it's on you. Like I say, folks, I'll end on this. I'm the product. If you like what we're doing here, you'll pay. You'll give me a little something for the effort from time to time. And if you don't have it, keep your money. It's all good. I'm going to keep coming back. I'm not going anywhere. And, on the whole crisis report thing, let's say that it does get shut down, because they do that here. Look at the very top, friends. Look at the very top. That's where we go. I'm a prepper. I believe in redundancy. I've got things set up in the background just in case. I'm not going freaking anywhere. And you will have to pry my intel from my cold, dead fingers, if you will. Okay? God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.